What's up, y'all, and welcome back to In the Wild. I hope y'all are having an amazing summer. I know it has been really busy for me, but for y'all, I wish all of the relaxation before we get any further in this Augusta heat. But today we are at Christenberry Fieldhouse, and I am super excited for our special guest today. He is one of the longest serving leaders in intercollegiate athletics and has overseen AU's athletic department after coaching the men's basketball team for 9 seasons. He's earned Big South Coach of the Year honors in 1991 and was named the Division II Athletic Director of the Year in 2007. He was also selected to the NCAA's Division II 40th anniversary team for his standout playing career at Belmont Abbey. And in 2016, he was inducted into the Augusta City Classic Hall of Fame for his contributions to the community. I'm so excited to have this guest here, so please give a warm Jaguar welcome to the one, the only Coach Clint Bryant. How's it going?
Thank you, Rayshawn. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. We are seated on the newly announced Clint L. Bryant Court. So what was your response when you found out your name would have a permanent place at our university?
Well, it was a big surprise. Very, very happy. Of course, I've had friends over the last several years that have courts named after them, and Bobby Crimmins and people like that. So it's been pretty cool. But at the same time, I just, I'm very humbled, and I'm very blessed that I was able to spend this time here at Augusta University. I tell people all the time I've been through all the name changes, so from Augusta College to Augusta University. So it was quite a surprise. My family and I are quite honored. We're looking forward to the first basketball game sometime in November when the actual ceremony will happen.
And I know that we are going to be packed in here, and we can't wait for that. And you mentioned in earlier interviews that your original plan was to only stay in Augusta for a few years, but that turned into a lifetime.
Well, I think, what's amazing is life is a never-ending process of getting used to something that you least expected. And so, in 1973, 49 years ago, when I left my mother's house for a basketball scholarship at Belmont Abbey College, I had no idea, no clue that almost 50 years later I'd still be on a college campus. So I'm probably one of the very few people who have spent their entire adult life on a college campus. And I think it's helped me become a pretty rounded person because I've always been around young people. And that makes a difference. My wife and I laugh a lot of times because, there are people our age that just seem so much older than we are. And I tell all the time just because I've been around college kids all my life. And so that's an experience that we've certainly enjoyed. But I had no idea. But one thing turned into the other. I left college and had the opportunity to become a graduate assistant basketball coach at Clemson University. I was only doing that because it was a way to get some free education for my master's degree, and that rolled into a full-time position. And the next thing you know, I was at the University of Miami, and that rolled into a position here. And I thought I'd be here 4, 5, 6 years, and 34 years later, here I am. So life is like that, man. It just continues to give you something that you probably didn't expect.
What do you think has kept you here for so long?
I think one thing, the people. I've been very fortunate to be in a community where, I think very early on I wanted to make sure that I just wasn't a basketball coach or an athletic director, but somehow we played a significant role in the fabric of this community. And so I've had an opportunity from the Kiwanis Club to the Greater Sports Council to the 100 Black Men of Augusta and so forth and so on, to really engage the City Classic, to really engage myself in the community, the United Way, the Boys and Girls Club. And so it's been a tremendous opportunity, and I think that's what has made the difference, is because I had a friend that used to say, I live here, I don't board. And that's the way I live here in Augusta, Georgia, and will remain living here. This is our home. And so this is where our daughters grew up and was raised. And so, it's just a very exciting time. And so hopefully I got a quarter or two left in me, and we'll see what happens.
And in the past 34 years, the university, as you kind of alluded to, like, has seen a few changes. What do you think was the biggest surprise over those 34 years that you've been here?
Well, I think what occurred is that this is the system, the Board of Regents and the Georgia system is very much different now. Where we went from old Augusta College, we were one of 30-some universities in the system, and we were a college. And the next thing you know, we became a state university. And then from there to consolidation 6-7 years ago. And now we're one of the 4 research universities in the state with Georgia Tech, Georgia State, and the University of Georgia. And so I think that probably was the biggest surprise of it all, is that we moved from being little old Augusta College to now Augusta University, which is a major player in the whole system of Georgia higher education. And I think that's what's exciting about the future of Augusta University, is because I think it's only the tip of the iceberg. And what occurs over the next 20 or 25 years is going to be amazing.
Yeah, that's one thing that really attracted me to come to this university as a student, was seeing just the opportunities for growth. And just in, I guess, from 2013 when I arrived, like, it has grown tremendously in the past, I guess, almost 10 years now that I've been around. So like you said, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing the next decade and the next chapter of what the university has in store for us.
Yeah, well, I think it's exciting, because I tell people all the time, we're probably one of the best kept secrets not only in the state of Georgia, but also in the whole southeastern region of the United States, because I think our cancer center is doing tremendous stuff. Our children's hospital is unreal. And so I just think all of that, along with what we're doing in cyber education now, what we're doing from the Medical College of Georgia, and how we're going to change rural medical care in this state. These are all big ticket items. And so I just see Augusta and Augusta University continue to thrive and to grow. Maybe we won't be debating 5-10 years from now who's the second largest metropolitan area in the state of Georgia. But I think more than that, we'll be the second most influential city in the state of Georgia, of course behind Atlanta. But then it's us, because we got so much going on. And then being a community with South Carolina right across the river, it gives you an opportunity to do some things that a lot of universities only dream of.
Yeah, I often talk to my friends who live in the Atlanta area, and they say, oh, my cousin is going to Augusta University, or, a family member, and they're like, I had no idea all this stuff was being here. So like you said before, like, we are still kind of like a best kept secret, because people are still sleeping on us. But
yeah.
They're starting to wake up a little bit.
Right. And I think you'll see more of that occurring. And that's one of the things that we've talked about from an athletic standpoint all these years, is that we're probably not the most important room of the house, but we serve as the front porch of the university, and that's good, the bad, and the ugly, But what we do gives people not only around the state, but the region, around the country, an opportunity to see what's going on at Augusta University. This past year, with our publicity of making the Elite Eight and playing in the final game and being on CBS national TV, and over my career here in 34 years, we've been on national television about 10 times. We've had 2 or 3 games here that were nationally televised because of our relationship with Fort Gordon and Military Appreciation Week, and we were kind of used as a model for the rest of the country to engage in that type of support of our men and women who, go out every day to protect this country. And so this community is very special. So the university, because wherever we go, I don't care if it's, all the way across the country, or to Washington, D.C., or to Miami, or Puerto Rico, or Ireland, all of our teams got one thing, and that's Augusta on the jersey. and nobody else has an opportunity to say that. So we wear that proudly.
So speaking of athletics, during your tenure, you experienced a lot of wins over the past 34 years, including our men's back-to-back national championships. Brock Everett in 2018 with his individual golf championship. When you think about some of the like historic moments that we've had, not only here but just wherever we've played, is there any like particular game that comes to mind where you're like, oh, I wish we would have won that one?
I don't know. It's been we've had the opportunity during that times. Like I used to say when our coaches, I think our coaches now kind of feel the same way. But sometimes when you win, you probably didn't play as good as you thought you played, and sometimes when you lose, you probably didn't play nearly as bad as you thought you played as well. And so there's somewhere midpoint, and that's why I think in athletics it helps kids create an attitude of not getting too high or too low. And so we've had the opportunity to have some really big wins here over the years. And then there have been some disappointing losses as well. But that's what makes athletics athletics. It's how, it's not how you respond when things are going your way, but how do you respond when things aren't going your way? If you get knocked down, will you get up? And when you get up, will you continue to fight? And I think that's what life is all about. And I've always said that athletics is just it's a game, but it helps us with the game of life. And that's what's been most important. It hasn't been the banners or the wins or the number of All-Americans we've had and all of that. It's been the number of student athletes that we've had to graduate. And we've been very fortunate in my 34 years here that we've graduated over 1,100 student athletes.
That's amazing.
That's the end game. At the end of the day, that's what intercollegiate athletics should be about. Is that how do we provide an opportunity to young men and women who may not have gotten that opportunity if it wasn't for intercollegiate athletics? Because a number of people are just like me. You know, I'm a first generation college graduate, and my daughters are college graduates, and I expect my grandson to be a college graduate. So it just continues to go on. So I think we've given the opportunity to a lot of young people over those 34 years, but over my close to 50 years in intercollegiate athletics, is that watching young people come in here and leave as young adults ready to make their mark on society, and that's all we can ask for. And so, and like anything else, you know, there are ups and there's downs, but I can say that there've been a lot more ups than there have been downs.
Yeah, and those full circle moments of seeing students that you met when maybe they were like a freshman or just like a prospective student, and seeing them go on to do great things after they graduate, I bet that's very fulfilling.
Oh, it's very fulfilling. I hear from people all the time. One of my former basketball players, Jake Middleton, is getting ready to be a general in the Air Force. That's unreal. And Keenan Mann, was a great player for here back in my first recruiting class, who's now owns his own business. And there's just so many stories of not only basketball kids, but kids in all of our sports. And I run into them all the time because a number of our student athletes, although they might come from all over the world and all over the country, a lot of them make their home right here in Augusta, Georgia. And so that's always been, you know, you run into somebody in the grocery store or somewhere and say, you know, I played soccer back in the late 90s, and people look, well, Augusta University had a soccer team? Yes, we did. We had a soccer team, we had a swim team, you know. And so we've been very fortunate, the number of athletes who have come through here, but then graduated and now doing some really good things. Ben Allen, who's a judge here in town, you know, that's important, man. That's really important.
And I was thinking about like the past year, like kind of after like we've been quarantined and isolated from the pandemic, like our athletics has really like been just going
Yeah.
crazy.
Well, it's been crazy time. You know, I don't think nobody ever would think they lived through a pandemic. You know, and so that's one of the things. Again, life is a never-ending process of getting used to things you least expected, and so that's something I least expected. But I think we'll be better and stronger because of it. Of course, I sympathize with those who lost loved ones and all of that. But at the end of the day, we'll be better and we'll be stronger for that. And so it gives us an opportunity to realize that some of the things that we were doing may have not been the best way to do things. Like I think virtual meetings are really, really good good things to do because I don't think you waste a lot of time there, you know, and so I think and people feeling like they have to be in the office all the time. You can work from home, you can work remotely, and all that. Those are good things. That's going to make us a better, stronger society at the end of the day. So it was tough. It was tough, really tough on our student athletes. Special shout out to the people in our sports medicine team. We were very fortunate at Augusta University because we did have the health side of things, and what a number of my colleagues and friends across the country spent was nothing like what we spent. AU health was really, really good for AU athletics during that time, and a lot of my colleagues and friends across the country was envious because we had a hospital and we could test and we could get vaccinations and all of those things. And so, you know, and our student athletes really stood up strong to make it through that. And then we're getting back close to normalcy. It's not normal yet, but we're getting back close to it. But you think about it, we shut down for about 8 or 9 months. Remember, we was quarantined. We couldn't do anything. The world shut down, you know. And just to make it through it, and we will tell our kids and our kids' kids about the pandemic of 2020, just like people talk about the pandemic of the Spanish flu in 1918, you know, so.
And I feel like our student athletes were ready to get back to the field or the courts because they've been performing exceedingly well.
Yeah, and they were, and the thing is, it's tough playing without fans.
Yeah.
And just that whole vibe, and I think it showed last year with the women's volleyball making it to Elite Eight, and then the men's basketball team having a phenomenal year, who did not lose a game on the Christianberry floor, 20 straight wins. Now, I think the most games we've won in a row were like 47 games that we won in a row. But at the same time, streaks are meant to be broken, and then you start another one. So hopefully, with the team that Coach Metris has coming back this year, losing only one player to graduation, I think they're going to be very, very good, and people should be excited about what's going to happen in Christianberry Fieldhouse this year.
Yeah, just seeing the reaction of us making it to the Elite Eight and going further past that was crazy for me to see as an alum. Like just the reaction on social media that everyone had, just showing support to.
Yeah, well, I tell
athletics.
people this is that the run this year by our athletics teams, volleyball in particular, and men's basketball by making it to the Elite Eight was the best thing that happened to this university since consolidation, because we have an opportunity again, regardless of what campus you're on, if you're cyber, Somerville, health science, it didn't matter. Nobody was worried about the name of Augusta College, Augusta State, GR, Augusta. Everybody affiliated with the university were Jaguars, and it gave us an opportunity to just mend some things and create an atmosphere again. Well, it was all about the Jags.
Yeah.
And that was important. It was important to our university. It was important to our students. We kept getting feedback from the watch parties that were going on and all of that. The whole community and city was abuzz. The governor gave us a shout out about how proud he was for us to be representing the state of Georgia. And so that's some pretty cool stuff, and that's what intercollegiate athletics should be about. It's not about the $1 million free throw or the $10 million field goal. It's about student athletes having an opportunity to represent their university, their hometown, their families, and everybody on a big stage with the opportunity to win a national championship, and that's huge. In 2006, when we built the golf facility, I predicted to the media that we would win a national championship in golf, and people thought I was crazy. They said, "This, what is this guy smoking? What is he on?" And I remember the media just saying, "Wow, but." Nobody knew in 4 years, not only would we win the national championship, but we won back-to-back national championships. I don't know if that'll ever happen again. They will make a movie one day about Augusta State University at that time winning the national championship, because it was definitely, again, a story of David and Goliath, we being the small school, having an opportunity to play. Since 2007, when they created the NCAA golf format, there have only been 2 non-Power 5 schools to win the national championship, and that's ourselves and Pepperdine University. Now, Pepperdine is not a Power 5, but they've been Power 5 money. So, but at the same time, we're probably the last of the small schools have an opportunity to compete at that level with the big schools, because that's what makes intercollegiate athletics what it's all about. People talk about the Final Four and the march to the Final Four and March Madness and all of that, and 99% of the time the big school's going to win. The Kansas, Kentuckys, North Carolinas, Syracuse, who are going to win the national championship. But what makes the tournament are the first couple of rounds, when you have the small schools who upset the big schools. That's what creates the interest. Everybody loves an underdog. And so hopefully in the new structure of the NCAA, they will continue to give the smaller schools an opportunity to shine and do what they can do against the bigger schools. I think competition is good. And so we've been very fortunate here at Augusta, with limited budget and resources, to have some outstanding coaches who have produced some outstanding student athletes who have represented this university really, really well.
In addition to athletics, you've also had many opportunities and experiences to help make our university more diverse and inclusive. Could you share about any of the impact you've had in that?
Well, I don't know. I think ever since I've been involved, I was a founding member of the Black Coaches Association in 1987 to 88. I was fortunate to be a founding member of the Minorities Opportunities Athletic Association. And so we see a lot now about diversity and inclusion. And diversity and inclusion is just not about black and white. Diversity and inclusion is about accepting all people, no matter what their faith or their sexual preferences or whatever, accepting people from who they are and making sure they have an opportunity to make a difference in the society that we live in. And so I always felt like at Augusta, if we had an opportunity to make it more diverse, because the 100 Black Men got a great saying, is that what young people see is what they will be. And so if they see positive role models in the communities, at their universities, and those role models are diverse, it helps society. And so that's one of the things that I think athletics has brought to the table over the years, is that, you don't care if you're in a foxhole and you're fighting the enemy, you don't care what color they are, what religion they are. You just hoping they can shoot straight, you know. And so that's what athletics has provided, because it's provided young people from all over the country and all over the world to come together and try to put together a team and take their diversiveness and use it as a strength. And I think society at large can learn from that, is that diversity helps us all. It makes us all better and stronger. And we need to appreciate and understand too far left is just as bad as too far right. The majority of everybody is somewhere in the middle. And that's what life should be about. How do we find middle ground in order to make this world we live in a better place? And that's been simply it. And I think over the years I've had an opportunity to put myself in a position where I could make statements that made a difference. John Thompson and George Raveling told me years ago, they said, the only way you can throw a punch is you got to be able to be in the ring. You can't throw a punch if you're outside the ring, but if you're in the ring, so provide yourself an opportunity to have a place at the table, so when you do have a cause or something, that at least people can hear it. And that's what we've tried to do here at Augusta University. That's what I've tried to do at the national level. That's what we tried to do in our community at large. Again, is being acceptable of what everybody brings to the table, and how important that is, what everybody brings to the table. And so it makes me very proud to see young men like yourself who've come to school here, did what you needed to do, found your place, and now in graduate school. And the future is very, very bright for you, and it should be. And that's what college should be about, you finding yourself, and then knowing that we all stand on the shoulders of others, and how do we continue to do the right thing. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that, because I was telling you earlier how graduate school has a chokehold on me right now, so I appreciate that. But when you reflect on your career, is there anything that you feel like you didn't get the chance to do that you may have wanted to do?
Well, always I talk about one of the things is that right now we have as nice facilities as they are in the country, all but for our baseball and softball programs and track and field. And so the pandemic slowed us down on the fundraising efforts for that, but I feel that our advancement and philanthropic efforts now for the university is going to help us reach those goals. Once we get a baseball, softball facility and a track and field facility, there will not be a university in the country with better athletic facilities than they are at Augusta University. You know, and no, we don't play in a 20,000 seat arena. We play in a 3,000 seat arena, but that's okay. You know, where our baseball field won't have 30,000 people. It'll have 3,000 people, but that's okay too. And we just want to be competitive and give our kids an opportunity so we can continue to represent this community, represent this university in a very positive manner. I'm very excited about the path that will go after. Once my day's over, there'll be a new AD. There'll probably at some time be some new coaches, and there'll be new student athletes. But I think the job that I inherited in 1988 from Marvin Vanover was a better job than he inherited in 1964. And now the job that somebody will come in and take over in 2022 or 2023 will be a lot better job than what I had in 1988.
And recently you had a pretty big celebration here for your retirement. What was that like?
Oh, it was a lot of fun. I thought got to see a lot of people, and And so you have a lot of relationships over the years, and what was interesting, they were not just internal relationships, but there was a lot of external relationships from not only this community around the state, but we had people come in from all over the country. Stan Johnson, executive director from MOA, came in from Kansas City. Earlston Bean, a local kid who participated in my camp and interned with me, and now he's a senior associate AD. So,
Oh, wow.
and so it was just very, it was very interesting. Tubby Smith, a longtime friend of mine, head coach at the University of Georgia, Kentucky, Minnesota, Texas Tech, Memphis. I told him he's been to more schools, but he came in. He and his wife Donna came in and spent a couple of days. So that's what made it really nice. It's about being around people and having an opportunity for me to tell them how much I appreciated their support over the years, and thanking them for having the opportunity to be here at Augusta University. People don't understand sometimes how intercollegiate athletics works, is that as an athletic director, you work at the pleasure of the president. I've been fortunate to have 3 or 4 presidential bosses and some on interim basis, and it's been a hell of a run, a hell of a ride, And so, with that being said, is that we know in intercollegiate athletics that at some point in time there's going to come time for a change, and change is not bad. Change is a good thing, And I think we're at that time at Augusta University now. Is a good time for change, and I think having the opportunity the last year to really celebrate our student athletes and all of that, it gave me an opportunity to leave out on a pretty good run, knowing that the run is not over yet.
You even got a key to the city.
Yeah, but I like Dr. Keel. I said, I don't know what that'll mean. I don't know where to get you, but I thought that was very nice that Mayor Davis and the commission gave me a key to the city and all of that. And so now my wife and I are trying to figure out, where I'm gonna put all this stuff, And so I've accumulated a lot of hardware over the years. I just don't know what to do with it now.
What are some things you're looking forward to in retirement?
Well, I think I'll get 4 to 6 months to really spend a lot of time with my wife and family, and do some things that we've been talking about doing. Take a few trips and do that. But more importantly, I'm just trying to figure out after that time where I can make a difference, not only in this community, but if it's a difference that I can make across the country on some issues I think that needs to be addressed as we deal with gang violence and things like that. Trying to figure out the best atmosphere to create opportunities for young people to not feel that it's necessary to carry a gun or settle everything in the streets on a beef. I mean, it's very, very sad. We should be doing so much more, but it's not a black community problem. It's not a young people. It's a national problem, and everybody should be trying to play a role in how do we stop this craziness. And so I think one of the things we continue to do is have open and honest conversations, and being able to figure how do we connect the dots to put together opportunities for people to grow. And so I'll hope to continue to be able to do that. I'm going to work very closely with United Way, Girls and Boys Club, the 100 Black Men of America, and others on trying again connect the dots. I've just been named recently to chair the Andrew Young Historically Black Colleges and Universities Scholarship Endowment for Andrew Young, and I'm very excited about that and look forward to working with people across the country to make that happen.
That's awesome. So when you think of the next 34 years of athletics for Augusta University, what are some things you'd like to see?
Oh, I don't know. I just think the sky's the limit, Again, you never know what might occur, You never know what might happen, but if the next 34 years has been as super as this been, there'll be some highs and there'll be some lows. but there's still some national championships to be won. I've been very fortunate here to our teams in women's basketball went to Elite Eight. We've had volleyball down in Elite Eight. The men's basketball team's been to 5 or 6 Elite Eights, and so that's been good. And we've been the bridesmaid in men's basketball 3 times in the national championship game. They'll eventually win a national championship. Might just be this year coming up. They're that good. Tyshawn Crawford is a very exciting player at 7 foot, and Jacquez Kirby is awfully exciting. And the guard play of Tyree Meyer and Miguel Arnold and Darian Lucas White, who all got an additional year of COVID. Going to be interesting because they grown men now, and so it's going to be very, very interesting to see. So the next 30 years or 50 years, I think it's going to be like the university. Athletics will continue to grow. We're in a big golf town. Golf is very important in our community. But we also have an opportunity to be good. Adam Ward has done an unbelievable job with our cross-country teams. We got one of the finest cross-country teams in the country, and so we'll see.
And last question is, any final thoughts as being our athletic director? Anything that you didn't get to say now that I got you?
No, not really. I mean, again, I just hope that we continue to be about what's positive for this university, for this community. And if young kids in the community can look at our student athletes and see themselves in them. We do a thing every year. Coach Metris has an education game where all the 5th graders in Richmond County come for a basketball game. And what we've been trying to show those kids, because there's a number of people, including Dr. Keel himself, who graduated from Richmond County schools, And so we want young people in this community to be able to look at Augusta University and say, I can be there one day. And it doesn't have to be, I'll be there because I'm a great athlete, but I'll be there because I want to go into cybersecurity. I'll be there because I'll be working in the cancer hospital or the children's hospital, and just an opportunity to make this community a better place. And so at the end of the day, athletics and life and community has all been one and the same for me. And it gives me now an opportunity to appreciate where I've been, but I'm very excited about the future and where we'll be going from here.
Well, Coach, thank you so much for meeting with me today and just sharing your experiences. And on behalf of Jaguar Nation, we're wishing you the best in your next chapter.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you, Rashid.